This video is how to get a job in a restaurant. And if you are in your, especially if you're in your 20s and even in your early 30s, working in restaurants, especially in the United States and in Europe, is a very easy way to get money fast that doesn't require a huge amount of skill sets. So, for example, if you don't mind getting dirty, you can work in the kitchen. If you are good with details and you can dress well, you can work as a waiter or waitress. And especially in the States, if you're working as a waiter, waitresses, or even bartenders can make up to more than $1,000 a year. $1,000 a year. Yeah, that is correct. Servers in big cities can make that much amount of money if they work in a big restaurant. That being said, there are some negative parts. It's like really stressful, and I mean, it really doesn't require a lot of cognitive skills. So you're basically mind numb, just flowing sometimes. I mean, it can be meditative in the sense that like you're there, you don't have to worry too much about the world, and you kind of flow. But at the same time, it can be a waste of time because you're not using any skills, you're not developing your career. If you have a career, there's all these people in New York who have like a degree in psychology, a degree in politics, a degree in art. They want to move to New York, and they spend like 10 years waiting tables because it's so much easier to do it than trying to develop their career. So really, it's easy to get a job. It's just the stress, and maybe the wage is not as good as they want, and sometimes there are issues with payment. In the restaurant industry, I never really experienced any issues with payment. I experienced issues with elitism. I don't think I'm pronouncing it correctly. So it was like I was like clicked out. It was a little bit hard to break into the clique, and eventually I was just kind of like placed into a corner until I left. This happens in restaurants in the States. It could probably also happen in Europe. I mean, it really happens anywhere in the world. That being said, the payment is a lot better in Europe and in the States. So basically, how to get a job in a restaurant and whatever. Usually, you have to have some experience in entry-level positions. If you're a waiter, if you're in front of the house, are really like you can be bringing in and taking out food, which are busboys. Usually do this. They're like entry-level. Bar back is another entry-level position. Or for example, here in Europe, the kitchen porter position, which in Australia is called dishwasher or kitchen assistant. Those are all entry-level positions. Usually they come with the most amount of stress because really you don't have any hierarchy and you get yelled at a lot. So it's not recommended for anybody who just doesn't really deal with like a high levels of stress. But that being said, it's a good way to like break out of your comfort zone and do something that's like different, and it usually is an easy way to raise cash. So if you have a relevant resume, you just basically send it in, or you can tell somebody that you have some experience in the kitchen. They usually will hire you. And when you start working, the best way to apply is if you speak directly with the hiring manager. Sometimes if you speak with other employees, they just will give you misleading information because they don't want the competition or they don't want to help. They really, in general, like other employees that are servers or something else, they don't have necessarily an incentive to hire you. So it's really, unless they want less of a workload, so it's really up to the hiring manager. So your best bet is to talk to the hiring manager directly. If you talk to the hiring manager directly, the best time to come is usually between 1 and 5, because this is when the lunch is ending and then everybody's preparing for the dinner. So there's this peacefulness in the kitchen, like people are out in lunch breaks, they're smoking their cigars in the back of the restaurants. and then you go in, and it's really easy to just line up several interviews with several people, and then say, hey, I want to work in this kitchen. This is where the higher managers are there. Don't come between 6 and 8 or 9 or 10, because everybody's busy, and they'll just they'll send you away for a later time, or sometimes early morning is a good time to talk because they have time. Usually a good way to tell if they're interested is if you come in the right time and they say like, yeah, send your resume. Usually they're not interested because they'll have more time. If you're going at the right time, they'll have time to talk to you. This is just code word for you. I'm not interested in you. Send me your resume. There's something else that I am forgetting. Okay, so online applications are also relevant. So through Indeed is like a really good way. Once you have